Good day to you all, and welcome to the Word of the Day podcast, coming to you pre-recorded from the RAV4 studios. My name is Jamie Silva, and we've got a couple fun and interesting money-related words to explore with you today. The first word is remunerate. This verb means to repay someone. The online definition is, quote, pay someone for services rendered or work done, unquote. Note how I used the word repay, and the online version just says pay. Both work, actually, and that's one of the reasons I like remunerate, because it can either refer to salaries and normal work-related compensation, like how an employer would remunerate or pay their employees extra if they came in for the weekend, or remunerate can refer to paying back or rewarding someone for some service or favor, one that there wasn't an exact and pre-agreed upon price assigned to. Like if you're talking about informal payments, ones that take place outside of an official employee-employer relationship, or you're compensating someone for a favor or a good deed, I think that's where you can definitely say repay and by extension remunerate. So you might remunerate someone for finding your wallet or for picking up your shirts from the dry cleaners as long as they were in the neighborhood. You owed them and then you made it up to them a little later on. Note, though, that you wouldn't remunerate Safeway for a half-gallon of ice cream unless you stole it last week and felt bad enough to go back later and make it right. If you were just at the store and conducting a basic commercial transaction, that's just paying, not repaying, and certainly not remunerating. I'm not positive about this, but I think paying is for when the exchange in question happens more or less simultaneously, like you're ordering something on Amazon or getting a stick of gum from a gas station. Repaying and remunerating are particularly for those situations where the good or service is delivered first and payment comes later. Maybe the payment amount was known ahead of time, as with a job salary, where workers get paid usually every couple weeks for the work they did during that time that is just passed. Or maybe the payment amount wasn't known ahead of time and varies based on how pleased the person paying is. Think of remunerating a waiter for his fantastic service by leaving an extra large tip. Or perhaps payment wasn't expected at all, but you wanted to reward someone anyway because you're so grateful. Here is where the etymology of remunerate comes into play. Interestingly, it comes from Latin words meaning to give or gift, from which we get the word munificent, which means very generous and eager to give people things, particularly money. Thus, giving someone a monetary gift because they first did something for you is, no question about it, remunerating them. Not that the gift has to be money. It could be from something else, although that's a little less common. I do want to give a quick nod to the noun edition of remunerate, which is remunerations, and this refers to the means used to pay someone, and again, that's nearly always money. So the next time you Venmo a friend or otherwise request that they pay you back for something, you can include a note that says, remunerations, please. And now the examples. Notice that some are in the salary sense, some are in the variable reward depending on how good a job someone did sense, and some are in the give someone a gift just because you're so grateful sense. Example number 1. I'm only too happy to handsomely remunerate anyone who does such a great job, said Mr. Hardman magnanimously to the children on his doorstep. My driveway has never been so well shoveled. Example number 2. The dock workers angrily protested the shipping company's proposed remunerations as too paltry to compensate for all their hard work. Example number 3. Were you the one to bring my papier-mâché model of the Taj Mahal inside before the rain started? Asked Stacy with tears in her eyes. I can't ever thank you enough, but please allow me to remunerate you in some small way with this origami octopus. Example number 4 comes from the short story The Mysterious Portrait by the Russian author Nikolai Gogol. Quote, the artist was remunerated in every way, with smiles, money, compliments, cordial pressures of the hand, invitations to dinner. In short, he received 1,000 flattering rewards. Unquote. Example number 5 from Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Quote, I selected the materials for a suit, and the tailor measured and calculated me in the parlor as if I were an estate, and he the finest species of surveyor. And he gave himself such a world of trouble that I felt no order for any suit of clothes could possibly remunerate him for his pains. Unquote. Okay, let's continue the money theme with our second word today, impecunious. This adjective, which is, I think you'll notice, a little on the fancier side, means that you're low on funds. You have very little cash on hand. You might be impoverished or indigent. Impecunious is one of the better euphemisms for this unfortunate situation, and it's also really fun to say. The online definition does corroborate my own, reading, having little or no money, end quote. Impecunious draws on the Latin word for money or wealth, pecunia, from which we now get the word pecuniary, meaning things related to money. So someone who isn't well versed in pecuniary matters might not be able to balance a checkbook, though actually I'm not sure how to do that myself, seeing as how checkbooks have fallen out of use. Oh, and one other note on the Latin here. Pecunia comes from the word pecu, meaning cattle or livestock, because that was the main measure of wealth at the time. So, the more cows you owned, the better your pecuniary status. Conversely, someone with no cows at all could be described quite literally as impecunious. And in that sense, I'm guessing most all of you listeners are impecunious, unless you're listening from a cattle ranch, in which case you are probably quite pecunious. To be clear, though, pecunious is not a word that I'm aware of, just impecunious. I just have one other thing to say about the usage. You don't have to be completely and utterly out of dollars to use the word. It works just fine as a humorous exaggeration or as a way to explain a sudden onset of thriftiness. Maybe, as an example, your unwillingness to spring for the deluxe car wash with the ultra sheen polish. Let's explore this further in the examples. Example number 1. After burning $300 on lottery tickets, Harold was feeling rather impecunious. Buying a motorized skateboard could wait. Example number 2. The impecunious poet comforted himself by observing that it is impossible to put a price on truly moving verse. Example number 3. Despite her six-figure salary, San Francisco's sky-high cost of living made Lindsay feel rather impecunious at times. It was almost enough for her to want to cancel her spin classes. Well, we have reached the end of the show. Thank you very much for listening. And remember that all impecunious podcasters ask of you in remuneration for your enjoyment of their shows is that you spread the word amongst your friends, or perhaps rate their show on iTunes. In the absence of other compensation, this often means a lot. For example, all the staff that works on this show is perpetually impecunious because I do not remunerate them one bit, aside from the occasional pat on the back. Luckily, they're all very easily motivated. Alrighty, that'll do it for us today. This has been the Word of the Day podcast. I'm Jamie Silva, and we'll see you next time.